Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks postgame podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Happy Friday. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi. The Blackhawks fall short to the Florida Panthers 4-3 in overtime. And man, when you look at the roster the Hawks put out on the ice in this one, holy crap, how it was even close. They led 2-0 for most of the game. They tied at 3 at the end. They had their chances in overtime to win, but Brandon Montour puts in the game winner on a sweet backhand goal, and the Hawks only get 1 point, which I think no one here is that upset about.
Yeah, I don't like actively rooting against this team, but this was a night that it started to happen because we were talking about it during the game. They can't lose every game mantra. That's kind of out the window. They need to start losing every game now if we're trying to shore up the best odds to get the top overall pick.
Yeah.
Like, it's great to have games like this from Mrazek. It's great to have flashes of play from Lucas Reichel that get you excited. That's great. Taking 2-0 leads into the third period. We don't need any of that.
That's enough
we
of that.
don't need any of that. So, yeah, you can't lose them all in regulation. But now we got to root for the Ducks tonight.
Yeah.
Well, we root for the Ducks every night.
That's true.
Yeah, that might be when you add the fact that Zachary, who is it? Andrews?
Andrews, yep.
Yes,
Yes.
was our backup goalie tonight. This might have been one of the worst rosters for an NHL games the Chicago Blackhawks have ever iced for an NHL game. And they've been around almost 100 seasons. This is up there. This is in the team photo of the worst. It's bad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the Panthers, can we talk about them for a minute?
Yeah, go for it.
What the hell are they doing down there?
I don't know.
They won the President's Trophy last year.
They're not selling tickets.
They got out of the first round and then have done what every team except one over the last 3 seasons have done and lose to the Tampa Bay Lightning. So they fire Andrew Brunette, who I get wasn't necessarily their guy. He took over for Q after all that stuff broke. But he still led that team to the best record in the regular season in that conference. And you bring in retread, bum-ass Paul Maurice. That was a large loogie there. Sorry about that. You bring in retread Paul Maurice. You trade probably the heart and soul of your team in Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar. You bring in Matthew Katchouk, who's a really nice player. And now you're fighting for your playoff lives. And you need overtime to beat this roster of Blackhawks on home ice.
Paul Maurice is
He sucks.
He is the most he's coached before, so let's keep hiring. He is that guy. He's never really done much of a damn thing in his career. He really hasn't. He's fine. He's one of those guys that just keeps getting jobs for whatever reason. It's ridiculous. So if you missed the game, and what's wrong with you if you did, here's the Hawks lines. First line is Lucas Reichel, Philip Kurashev, Andreas Athanasiou. Okay. Second line is Tyler Johnson, Cole Guttman, and Taylor Radish. Third line is Anders Bjork, Jason Dickinson, Mackenzie Entwistle. Fourth line, Boris Katchouk, Jujhar Khaira, Joey Anderson. Your D pairs are the Jones brothers. Jared Tenorti and Nikita Zaitsev is your second pair, with Jared Tenorti wearing the A, and Philip Roos and Ian Mitchell as your third pair. And it took the Panthers overtime to beat this team.
They needed a 3-goal third period to get to overtime.
And look, they had the edge in play the whole game. Petr Mrazek was outstanding until he just couldn't be anymore. But if you guys in the chat want to be mad at anyone, be mad at the Panthers. The Hawks are doing everything they can to suck as much as possible. They just play hard.
Yeah.
That's when you build a team of guys that play hard and play the right way, they're going to be in most games. And the hope is, I think from Kyle Davidson's perspective, Petr Mrazek probably isn't going to steal a game for us. He almost did.
Almost did.
He almost did. He got you to overtime. I don't know what more the Hawks can do to honestly.
Yeah.
Like, what should they have just started the emergency backup goalie?
Maybe.
They can't do that. You can't do that. It's just, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's from a roster standpoint. There's literally nothing more you can do to take as much talent away as they did at the trade deadline. And I mean, the players are not going to tank. That is not something that a professional athlete will ever do. Even if, management and the direction of the team is going that way, a player is going to go out there and give 100% every night in and night out. It's just, the talent gap that I think we're hoping comes through on the nights where, the Blackhawks are playing these teams that are either in the playoffs or in the playoff chase. But I think what's happening is now it's post-trade deadline. The Blackhawks roster has been picked apart. Patrick Kane's not here. Jonathan Toews isn't here. Max Domi isn't here. So on and so forth. And I think what's happening is you're getting teams that are playing the Blackhawks, looking at the roster, looking at the standings, and thinking they can just step onto the ice and outskate and outplay these guys just by virtue of who they are. And that doesn't seem to be the case. The Blackhawks, this group, the guys that are still around, they're here playing for an opportunity that most of them weren't getting elsewhere. And they're playing for either a job next season in Chicago or with other teams. Like it's a roster full of guys trying to make the most of an opportunity, and that can be a dangerous roster. So I think as far as effort and what we're seeing on the ice, like, credit to them for not phoning it in, and for the pure sake of entertaining hockey, like, giving us that. Credit to Luke Richardson for being able to all season have his team, no matter who was on it, being able to play sometimes above their skis. And, it's hard to be upset at that. It's like, hey, that's what Kyle Davidson and Luke Richardson want to set up as the culture of the team.
Culture matters.
So that in 2 or 3 seasons, when the roster starts to get populated with guys who do matter to a team that wants to contend, that's what they want to step into. That's the giving it all. Doesn't matter who you're facing, what night it is, putting in that effort. That's what you want to carry over from this season. And it just so happens it comes at the detriment of 1 point in the standings tonight.
Yeah. I think another factor here is you're seeing teams that consider themselves good taking a look at this Hawks lineup and saying, like, well,
right,
we can probably coast and win this game. We saw the Hawks do it all the time in the Dynasty, where they would play down to the competition, then there'd be 5 minutes left, and the Hawks would be like, all right, that's enough, and then just squash them.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the Panthers did in this one. I'm not comparing the Panthers to those Blackhawks teams, of course, but I think we are seeing a bit of the opponent underestimating the Hawks and coming out a little half-assed, and then getting behind a little bit and having to play catch-up a little bit. So that's probably part of it too, but we've talked about it since all season, but especially since the Patrick Kane trade went down. And you said it, Mario, like, Luke Richardson really deserves a lot of credit for this, for keeping this team not just competing in games, but, like, motivated. You see all those names move out, heart and soul guys for the Hawks. It's not just Kane, McCabe and Lafferty and Domi and all those guys who were the guys you spent the season feeling really good about. Even when Patrick Kane was struggling for the vast majority of the season,
right,
you felt good about Domi and McCabe. Later on in the season, Lafferty started to come on, and those were the kind of guys you had some pride in. And I think all of them were very beloved in the locker room, and then they're all gone. This team had every reason to just say, all right, you know what? We've tried. There's 20 games left. Let's just get to the summer healthy. Let's get to golf season and call it a day. And they haven't. They really haven't. And Lebowski5 says Richardson should get votes for Coach of the Year. I don't remember which one of you said it last show, but he won't, because it's just how hockey works.
Right.
But if anyone's paying attention to actual Blackhawks games, you'd be seeing a garbage roster competing with really good teams.
We had a lot of people early in the season were like, I don't know if Luke Richardson, I don't know about this guy. He might not be the guy for the long haul. He's a damn good hockey coach.
He's a good coach.
I'll take Luke Richardson over Paul Maurice any day of the week.
Yeah.
Speaking of Paul Maurice, just to wrap up that conversation, what has he done? Not a whole lot of anything. He took the Carolina Hurricanes on that magical run to the 2002 Stanley Cup Final, where they got blown out by that Red Wings team.
Wow. Yeah.
He's coached 17 seasons since then. You want to know how many playoff series he's won in those 17 series?
I want to say 0.
Is it 5?
It's 5.
5. Wow. Okay.
That was a guess.
More than I thought.
He took 4 of them came in 2 seasons.
Okay.
He took the Jets to the conference finals a couple years ago. He took the Hurricanes back to the conference finals in 2009. So you take away those 2 seasons, he's won one playoff series in 15 seasons.
Yeesh.
But let's hire him.
Yeah.
He's what we need.
Well, he was the youngest coach.
Yeah,
at one point.
Now he's not. And
At one point.
Did Jeremy Colton dethrone him? Was that
No, Paul Maurice was a head coach when he was like 27, wasn't he?
29 with
29.
the Hartford Whalers. He was the last coach of Hartford Whalers history.
wow.
Coach
He looks good for his. I'll give him that.
Yeah,
For a guy who's been around that long, he looks.
Yeah,
he looks
I always
good.
forget. They're like, yeah, they said on the broadcast, like, it's his 25th year of coaching. I'm like, he should look way older. And then I remember, oh, yeah, he was
he's 56.
he was really young when he started coaching.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I know that there's some people frustrated with the extra point, but again, it's just the roster is as bad as it can possibly be.
You know,
And they're like, "Oh, Connor Murphy, you're having a family issue? Like, take a couple days. No problem. Stay locked. You're not feeling good. Have a seat. We'll sign an e-bug."
yeah.
They're literally doing everything they can, and it's just
I also find it funny that they a lot of the people in the chat that worry about the points or on Twitter or wherever, they worry about, oh no, we get these extra points. We're going to point fourth. We're going to pick fifth. We're going to pick sixth. Are a lot of the same people that when they were losing, when they do lose, say, well, just because you finished last doesn't mean you get the first pick. It's like you can't have it both ways.
Yeah, well,
Just let
do?
the games play out and see where the lottery. That's out of the only thing the Hawks can control is how they finish.
Yeah.
After that, it's out of everybody's control, allegedly.
yeah.
For the lottery.
Yeah.
And listen, we just got to let it play out, and we can't wring our hands over every point. Well, fine. You know what? Screw it. Wring your hands over every point. We had to have this conversation since October. You want to wring your
65
hands?
times
Wring your
this
hands. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of the chat, I failed to mention, make sure you smash that like button. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Our Bears show today pulled 100 new subscribers. They had 4,000 consecutive viewers.
Why? What
Did you
happened?
do something today?
Yeah, the Bears made a trade. If you're happy about the Bears trade, smash that like button. I mean, wow, it's
That was,
crazy to think about.
Yeah,
and,
quite the moment.
So when we're done, make sure you go check out their special emergency podcast that they did earlier today. We're going to update the tank standings and all that stuff, so make sure you stick around for that. We've got the pick of the week today.
Steven, something about the Rangers I saw. What was that?
About Petr Kane?
Oh,
Congratulations to Kaner on his first goal.
We don't care.
Well, that
Yeah,
was the
definitely
that was the
That was
full-
the makeup because he gave up the.
the shift before. He turned it over. Rangers run a power play. Patrick Kane turns the puck
Passed it to
over.
nobody.
The piano arrived right on time, and Patrick Kane just could not find the energy to get back, and they scored. The Canadians scored, and then he scores on the next shift. Basically, that was the full
To tie the
experience.
game.
And you sent us a screenshot. We were talking about it. On our,
Rangers Twitter losing their
we-
minds.
We have our little group chat, and Jay sent us a little screenshot of Rangers Twitter after that play, and they don't like Patrick Kane. I don't know how they reacted about 86 seconds later when he scored, but
yeah, right.
Yeah, I just after he gave up that turnover, I went on and just typed in Patrick Kane and went to latest, and it was like Patrick Kane sucks. F you, Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane blows. What a terrible trade. Yada
He's
yada.
so washed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting, not that we're going to spend a lot of time on this, but I was just thinking about it. Like, here, Patrick Kane had all the credit built up. Immediately great. Calder Trophy, Stanley Cups, everything you want, Conn Smythe, yada, yada, yada. So he was Teflon in this town, no matter what. We saw it. This year he sucked, and people were pretty like, whatever.
You're right,
He's Patrick
yeah.
Kane. It's not his fault. He doesn't have a lot of talent. New York has no loyalty to Patrick Kane.
No.
None. If anything, they've got massive expectations for him. Yeah. And this is going to be the first time in his career where he's hearing it with real pressure. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, and I think outside of Chicago, there's still a large portion of the NHL fan base that holds a lot against Patrick Kane. So he's now in a market that doesn't have any love for him built in. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that.
There's pressure on him for the
progresses.
first time in a long time.
Yeah,
him and Tarasenko, man, because everything they gave up to give those two guys, and if it doesn't end up with the very least a trip to the Stanley Cup final, was it worth it?
Well, at least to the Eastern Conference final, that would help us.
Sure, but I mean, if I'm the Rangers,
but yeah,
I
Rangers,
give up all that, and I don't at least win an Eastern Conference championship, it's a failure.
Yeah, you go all in. You go all in for those two guys. Yeah. Seems like purely rentals. They have to come back with a parade. Yeah, and comment from Design Love there. Guy on the Bears Emergency Podcast dropped $400 in super chats today. So you guys got to step your game up.
Yeah, $400
super chats.
You guys are
$400 short of that one guy. Let's go.
Yeah, get us to the draft. Let's go. Be very, very helpful. We would appreciate
great.
that. That's
we're
for
gonna
damn
have
sure.
Kickstart program coming up soon.
Yeah.
GoFundMe.
Well, you know what, guys? The main reason we're really watching every shift and paying big attention, aside from it being our job, is that Lukas Reichel's here. Mm-hmm. And I feel like now that we're at this point in the season, win or lose, we should probably just spend a dedicated amount of time talking about Lukas Reichel's game. And there was a shift from him in the second period today where he was just dominant.
Yeah.
Carrying the puck, getting scoring chances, almost scored a goal. He looked really good in moments. Now, not the most visible game from him. He finished with a -1, 16-23 of ice time. He had 2 shots on goal and 2 more shot attempts. So not the greatest game Lukas Reichel's ever played, but when you see those flashes and you see those moments from him, it's so encouraging, because I think for a lot of folks early in his career, probably before his last call-up and this one, we saw a bunch of people in here worried about him, worried about his development, because you just were not seeing those moments from him. And you're seeing at least 1 or 2 from him in every game, including, was it the third? Yeah, it was the third period. Hawks were down 3-2, and he had a really fast rush right up the middle, and at the last second had it poked away. But yeah, Reichel is flashing, and he's looked really, really good since the call-up. No points again, but just I really like the way he's been playing.
Yeah, I think he's starting to really find some consistency in his game, and that's just one of his biggest things right now, especially at where he's at in his career, in his development. He's young, he's getting still his first real tastes of the NHL, and just being able to consistently put together, game by game, shift by shift efforts. I think that's one of the biggest things for him that he can do to improve and show those flashes and string some of those things together. He's had some really good games. The few games he's been up recently have been pretty good performances. The games that he had back in, what was it, January? Was that pre All-Star break, or was that right after the ball? I can't remember when. It was about a month and a half ago.
Pre All-Star break, I believe.
Was it? Okay,
yeah.
So yeah, in January when he was called up and had a really good breakout, and then was sent right back to Rockford. I mean, that's what that's what you want to see from him, and he's eventually going to go back to the Ice Hogs and at the end of the season here. But yeah, I think it was a good showing from him again. And just continue to string those things along and those kinds of performances together. And, yeah, it's build all the momentum he can till next season. And then next year it's going to be, it's basically going to be his team, I think.
We got a $30 super chat from Casimir saying, go get some pops on me, guys. We appreciate that.
Nice.
Thank you very much. And a comment from Michael. He says, this is the perfect scenario. Close games, but lose in the end, never getting blown out. This is what I wanted. Games you can actually watch. And yeah, I mean,
It's been that way much of the year.
Yeah, most of the year they've been.
There's been very few games where they've just been completely ran out of the building.
Sure.
They may get run out of a building for a period, but for 40 minutes, they're looking pretty good.
But even when like there's been a lot of games where at the end of the night you look up and you're like, holy cow, they got clobbered in possession.
Yeah.
Doubled up in shots, all that stuff. The games never really feel that bad. There were games last year where you were like, oh my God, can this end? This is painful to watch.
Yeah.
It sucks. It's like they're not competing. They're getting their asses kicked.
That was pretty much every game since we jumped on the beat last
Really?
Well,
Yeah, for real.
Well, and you forget the start of last season.
Yeah.
How awful those games were. Like, and
Yeah, it was brutal.
it was no no coincidence that they were 1-12, 1-11 to begin the year, 1-9-2 technically, but those games were just so bad, and it was just like, why is this team that was supposed to be a bubble playoff contender playing so poorly? And I think it goes back to what we were saying earlier in the show, how this team and this coaching staff has the players locked in and competing. And at the beginning of last season, that was not the case.
Oh, absolutely.
So having games like this where, you end up losing, but it's close, it's entertaining. There's moments where you're like seeing what can be coming for the Blackhawks. Like, that's the perfect scenario.
Yeah, and when it helps that you have a roster full of guys that are really playing for next season, whether it's here or elsewhere. They're a bunch of guys that would not be in the NHL if it wasn't for the Blackhawks calling or trading for them. They'd be AHL guys. They'd be wherever. So they're getting an opportunity, and these guys like Joey Anderson, Brady, Boris Katchouk tonight. Sorry, can't get all the Chucks.
Brady
mixed
Katchouk,
up.
it's a lot.
Boris
It's a lot.
Katchouk.
Same
Close.
guy.
Close enough.
Squint hard enough. It's kind of like Nicholas Jarmuson and TVR almost being the same.
Yeah, one in the same.
But like guys like that, Taylor Radish and these guys that just, they wouldn't be. You look at a guy like Caleb Jones. I know we talk about him a lot. That he's had rough patches, but overall this season, from start to finish, he's progressed a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Luke likes him.
And he obviously, but he's taking advantage. Jared Tenorti, assistant captain Jared Tenorti. I can't believe that's a thing. That's in the file, right?
It has to be.
Yeah, it's in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So, like, you see these guys that would be in the AHL if they were playing for 25 other teams. So they're playing hard because they realize, if I want to stay in this league, I've got to open up some eyes here, whether it's coming back and playing for the Blackhawks next season or getting signed somewhere else. They're playing for their hockey futures, and they're guys that look like that, and that's what you want to see. That's good. That's on the coaching, getting them ready to play. And just to wrap up our thoughts on Reichel, this is a kid that looks like he is not intimidated by the speed or the pace of the NHL game.
Right.
He's comfortable. He's ready, and he knows I'm the best player we got right now, and I'm going to play like it.
That's
he
true.
knows it. He's got the confidence, and that's what. How many times did we talk about Kirby Dach, about his biggest enemy was Kirby Dach in between his own ears.
Yes.
Lucas Reichel he's got some swagger. He's got some confidence.
He knows he's good.
He knows he's good, and he's playing good, and that is so key, especially for a player in that situation.
Design Love, thank you for the $20 super chat. He says he's $380.01 short. Sorry, love you all. Great work. Thank you very much for that.
you.
I want to shout out Zer Etmeyer for having the coolest name in the chat. He says you guys deserve a big praise for a quality podcast day in and day out. Oh, we do? Okay.
thank
It's
you.
not easy to follow the Hawks these days, but you guys do a great job to keep us fans engaged for better days to come. Well done. Thank you for that. And then Alan K. earlier in the chat mentioned something about Reichel in overtime. There it is. You're right on it there, Steven. Boom. Although in the 3-on-3 overtime in the second shift, it was Seth Jones and Kurashev. They had Radish out there instead of Reichel. I'm waiting to see if Luke Richardson was as pleased with Reichel's performance as we were, because over the last little bit, we've seen Reichel getting those opportunities late in the game down. He was out there today with the empty net, so that's good. But we did not see him in that second shift in overtime where you might expect him to be seen.
Yeah.
So speaking of Luke Richardson, by the way, a little bit of an update. Anders Bjork will not be available tomorrow. The Hawks will be having to call somebody up here.
Interesting.
For tomorrow's game. And I wonder if it's Luke because he just signed that deal today.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Congratulations to Luke.
Send us Rocco Grimaldi. Why the hell not?
Well, he's on an AHL deal.
Sign him and bring him back up.
Then was it Xander? Was that the name of the guy? Just said the coolest name.
Xare.
Zare. If Rocco Grimaldi comes up, you're demoted to second coolest name. Sorry. We need more Roccos.
That sounds
in our
like
life.
somebody. That sounds like a really cool Jedi Knight name.
It does.
Rocco
I agree with
Grimaldi.
that.
No, Zaire.
Oh, Zaire.
Zaire?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Rocco Grimaldi sounds like a guy from The Sopranos.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
And we've
him,
got
him and Joey Anderson are going to open up a beef stand on the corner.
Pizza and packaged goods.
Yeah. Boy, the peer pressure is working tonight, by the way. A $20 super
wow.
chat from Mark says, I've never done a super chat before. I don't have anything clever to say other than you guys deserve it. Some of the best coverage out there, especially in such a difficult season. Hey, man, we appreciate that.
Hey.
It's great.
There's been less said for more money on this network. So
Yeah.
We don't have anything clever to say either. So
Exactly.
well, thanks
Don't worry,
for
Mark. Appreciate it.
Well, make sure you smash that like button for us. We got 47 likes. We're going to spin the tank wheel at the end of the show. I'm going to set a big goal today because, again, Bears make a big trade. Lots of super chats coming in. It's a big day here at CHGO. Let's get to 100 likes for that bonus spin. I think we can do it.
Yes.
We've got enough people in the chat to make it happen. So if you're here, smash that like button for us, and we'll get an extra spin at the tank wheel. And if you missed our last show, our last spin, the Hawks got the top pick.
They just sure did.
So there you go.
Yes,
It
yes.
saved Tankathon's butt.
I wonder if they have Jedi robes for Hawks fans at FOCO. They probably have Blackhawks robes. I would almost guarantee that.
Yeah, all you gotta do is just add a lightsaber. It's a Jedi.
Yeah, there you go. You've already got the best coverage for your favorite teams here at CHGO, so get fitted out in the best sports gear around. FOCO's got you covered from Soldier Field to the living room, north or south side or west side, with hoodies, slippers, signs, bobbleheads, robes, and everything in between. Get decked out like
Joey
Boris
Anderson.
Katchouk.
Boris Katchouk.
With apparel from the leader in sports merch and collectibles, FOCO. Looking for the perfect gift for the hockey fan in your life? FOCO's got you covered with hoodies to fight that Lake Michigan breeze. Check out FOCO.com, that's FOCO.com, or click the link in the description below. For all non-presale items, use the promo code CHGO for 10% off. Again, that's the code CHGO for 10% off your order at FOCO.com.
And if you're looking to get out to the final few Blackhawks games this season, get your chance to see Boris Katchouk and Joey Anderson in person at the United Center, be sure to check out our friends at Game Time, the hottest new ticketing site that makes it easier than ever to score the best deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows. I could definitely tell that people down there in Sunrise, Florida,
yep.
were not taking advantage of the Game Time app because there were good seats to be had.
It was dressed like an empty seat night.
Oh, I forgot, of course. Hey, have you ever dreamed of sitting in a seat you never thought you could, like sitting at the 50-yard line watching Justin Fields throw bombs to DJ Moore? Well, you can do it with Game Time. And they have the biggest last-minute price drops that can be found on seats you never thought you could buy. You're not going to find a better deal on tickets this season to any of the Chicago teams in town. Game Time was created by fans for the fans, and they guarantee the lowest price. And even if you scour the internet for a lower price on another website and you do happen to find one, good luck, you can bring it to Game Time, and they will match that price. That's how much they care about getting you the best deal possible. If you love CHGO, you're going to love Game Time. The best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link in the description. When you do that, you're going to be joining over 15 million people who have downloaded the Game Time app and have scored the best seats to all of your favorite events.
All right, shall we do our 4 stars of the game?
We shall.
Our contracts say we have to.
Yeah, let's do it. The number 3 star of the game for the Florida Panthers, Eetu Luosterainen. I take Luosterainen to control my diabetes. He had a goal, an assist. He's a +2, 17:34 of ice time, 4 shots on goal, 4 more shot attempts, a hit, a block shot, and 100% of his won faceoffs were won. So
Nice.
that's a good job.
Way to
Well
go.
done. Number 2 star, my favorite player who's not a Blackhawk, Matthew Katchouk, with 3 assists, 22:52 of ice time, 7 shots on goal, 3 more shot attempts, a hit, and a giveaway. What a bum. Giveaway.
Way to show up.
Sucks. And your number 1 star, Brandon Montour, with the sweet overtime winner, a goal and assist. He played 23-28, 4 shots on goal of his own with 2 more shot attempts and a hit. Not only was the overtime winner a very sweet goal, the celebration was nasty too. Go back and watch it. Not only does he do like the little the ice flip, he spins the stick in his hand. Very nice, Selly. I appreciated that.
Double
so Brandon Montour is your number 1 star. I'm giving my 4 star of the game to Seth Jones. 28:09 of ice time for the Hawks. 31 shifts. He had a shot attempt, 3 hits, and a block shot. Just another solid night for Seth Jones, who is doing the best he can with a brutal team on the ice with him.
Doing all he can.
And he just continues to put together good game after good game. Another good one for Seth.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the guy that I was going to do last game, but then changed it. But going to go with Tyler Johnson, one of the few veteran, guys with a lot of experience left on this team. Big night. He had an assist, finished at a +1, which is pretty good when team gives up 4 goals. You weren't out there. Led the team with 3 shots on goal, and also had a couple of takeaways. So he's playing good at the defensive end, and he's been the last couple of games, he's kind of been like a little red ass Tyler Johnson. He's been out there and
you're right,
getting in guys' faces and mixing it up a little bit. He's a guy that cares. He shows that he's playing for his pride. He's a guy that's won a couple of Stanley Cups. He's on the back end of a big contract. He could be phoning it in. All the injuries he's had over the last couple of seasons, he can be like, you know what? I'm just gonna give this ankle the rest of the season off and come at it. No, he's out there. He's busting his ass. He's trying to win hockey games. So good job for Tyler Johnson.
Yep.
My 4th star of the game, Taylor Radish. He had the pretty sweet assist on the game's opening goal. Finished with 2 shots on goal, 2 blocks in 18 minutes and 17 seconds of ice time. I believe he also had a couple of individual scoring chances that he created. Again, I think we said it last game. He's just, after a 2-goal performance, he's one of those guys that really made the most of the opportunity that he got at the end of last season after, coming over in the Brandon Hagel trade. And he was buried on a very deep and talented Tampa Bay Lightning team and got the opportunity with the Blackhawks and has made the most of it and turned into a pretty decent NHL player. And he's a guy that's got some he's got some good hockey ahead of him. So we're hoping that maybe Anders Bjork or Joey Anderson has an opportunity to become this year's Taylor Radish, and just good to see Radish playing well. He's gonna finish this year towards the top of the charts for Blackhawks scoring, and I think he's second.
He's got 30 points to Seth Jones 31.
Okay,
in 10 more games, but still.
That's still
16 goals, 14 assists in
points
66 games,
and that's still tied for the lead in goals.
It's all him.
Yep.
Nice. Oh, that.
It's just him. Yeah.
Just him.
He's all alone in first place.
Taves and Athanasiou second with 14.
All right. Well, there you go. So yeah, good performance from Taylor Radish tonight.
Quick observation before we move on from this game.
Yes.
Hawks won 55% of the faceoffs tonight. That was a concern of mine with Taves on the injured list and Max Domi gone. But how about our guy, Philip Kurashev, winning 10 of 17 faceoffs tonight?
Not bad.
That's pretty good. Cole Guttman, another big night, nice night. He won 6 of 11, as did Jujhar Khaira and Jason Dickinson. And I want to give a little shout out. He didn't get a 4-star, but I'm going to give a stick tap in the direction of the recently engaged Jujhar Khaira. 2 assists tonight.
Nice game for him.
There you go.
He is not on this team to provide points. So anytime he does, especially when he gets 2 in one game, Good for him. He's another guy, much like a Tyler Johnson, who has had to deal with a lot of adversity health-wise since coming here in Chicago. So it's good to see he worked his ass off to get back in the lineup, and he gets rewarded with a couple of big assists tonight. So good job for him.
It's probably because he got engaged last month.
Hey,
Yeah, there you go.
it's but apparently it's big news today.
Box score is updated. Philip Kurashev won 11 of 17 faceoffs.
Oh, nice. Even
There
better.
you go. That's a 65%, my friends.
Put that in the universe.
See what happens?
You're
Hey,
welcome,
you
Phil.
take that from him any night.
That's right. 2 more super chats to get to. Windy City Hockey gives us $2 and says, "Here's a couple of bucks."
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
All right.
Nice.
It's like dirty work. Here's your $2. Appreciate that, Hockey. And
$2.
Ryan says, "Go buy a Goose Island after the podcast with his $5 super chat."
Nice.
Okay.
All right.
We will do that. And Michael, who's very kind today, I got to say, he says, "If not for CHGO, the Hawks would never be mentioned in this city of bad sports talk radio." Well, it got worse a year ago, I'll tell you that much. That's for damn sure. So thank you, Michael, for the kind words.
Yes,
Look, man, we're happy to be here. We're having a great time every night, despite despite how the games go most nights.
Somebody earlier in the chat said, "I don't know how you guys do it every night." We're doing. This
Talking about hockey.
This is our dream job.
Yeah.
It was good hockey, bad hockey. We're getting paid to watch hockey.
That's.
I don't know how anybody could wake up in the morning and say, "Damn it, I gotta get paid to watch hockey again."
Yeah.
Look, it's all good. There's light at the end of the tunnel. And Michael was also saying he's going to see the Ice Hogs tomorrow night in the Mont of Roses, taking on the Chicago Wolves, who he should look out for. Again, there's not a lot of
Most of
now that Reichel's here.
I was gonna say most of those guys are here.
Gust.
Guttman.
There's not
Reichel.
a ton of the guys that are playing for Rockford that really project to be long term outside of a couple of defensemen. So keep your eyes on the defense. Check out Alex Vlasic, how he's been playing. Alec Regula, still has some potential here. Isaac Phillips is back with Rockford. So those are the guys to kind of pay attention to. If David Gust is back, I assume David Gust is back. That will be a fun guy to watch playing against his former team, the Wolves. But yeah, with Reichel up here, the best prospect that the Ice Hogs had all year is here. So I would keep an eye on some of those young defensemen, mainly Vlasic. I haven't seen him play in person yet this season, so I kind of want to get hopefully we'll be getting to some of the playoff games. I want to see how he's progressed from what we saw at the end of last season to this season. Hopefully that full season of AHL development is paying dividends.
Speaking of guys who used to be with Rockford and are now here, Cole Guttman with the late goal to tie the game to force overtime. His 4th goal in 13 games. That is a 25-goal pace. And, it's a very small sample size.
Yeah.
But we've talked about him since his call-up. As we look at this roster and try to think about guys who might be here when they're good again, I think Cole Guttman is in the conversation. I mean, he never looks out of place.
Yeah.
And I know the other night that line had a bad possession night. I think it was the Detroit game.
It was the Detroit game because they were the best line against Ottawa, and then they were one of the worst trios against Detroit. And then tonight, I think they were the best line that they had.
And I think they were the best line against Nashville and the worst against Ottawa, whatever it was. But
Well, no, they smoked Ottawa 5-0 though. I think it was the Detroit game.
Well, they were the best line for the Hawks tonight for sure. And Philip Bruce had a nice game too. We'll get to him in a little bit as well.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, it's to see these guys look, as we talk about this team and we try to project what's going to be in the future, there's a lot of guys that are going to maybe take a jump that we don't expect. Guttman was a late signed last year, right? End of the year, out of college sort of a thing.
He's a college free agent.
He was a college free agent.
Yeah, and there just wasn't a lot of hype about it. Okay, it's a guy who had a good college career, great. These things happen too. These kind of out of the blue signings that can come and result in someone who could be a real competitor. And I think it's encouraging to know when you look at the staff that Kyle Davidson has assembled, and not just their qualifications, but just in numbers alone. They've got eyes everywhere. It's not this limited staff anymore where it's just a few people scouting a few places. They've got eyes all over college, Europe, all over the world, all over the country, all different levels. So they're looking for it. Jackson Stauber's another one, a free agent signed out of college who we said, okay, a depth signing at the time. When he's come up and played this year, he's been really good. Yeah. So now he's another guy we start to mention as well. Maybe, you look 3-4 years down the road, maybe he's Drew Comesso's backup. Who knows? We don't know. But it's not just Korchinski, Nazar, Bedard Fantilli potentially. All these little depth pieces, like Brandon Hagel was a 6th-round pick, right? Like, you can find talent from a lot of places and go back to the dynasty and look at that lineup. It wasn't just all elite first-rounders and number 1 overall guys. Yeah, they had Kane and they had Taves, but they had a lot of guys who were drafted later in the draft that really made huge impacts. Yeah. So, I just think this now is kind of the fun part of the rebuild. Now that we're almost done with year 1 of the absolute burn it to the ground, tear it down from the studs. Patrick Kane has been traded, so that pain has come and gone.
We're at ground zero.
Yeah, exactly.
Only way to go up.
So whatever the future holds for Jonathan Taves, we don't know, but whatever. Now, I don't know if the point arrow will be pointed up, but the development arrow will be pointed up, and there'll be some guys to keep an eye on. And as a Cub fan, I think about those years when you knew they were on the cusp, watching highlights of Chris Bryant, like from winter ball, and Javier Baez in Iowa, and like you just like, oh my God, like all these guys are kind of, and maybe Reichel's like the Rizzo, the first one to arrive, the first one to make an impact, right? And then they start filling in, and then maybe these guys you didn't expect, like Wilson Contreras, who is not a sure thing, comes in and makes it. You know what I mean? So this can
we don't mention his name anymore.
Yeah, no, it's really
wow.
He's mad. I get it. But
baby,
this to me is fun.
Yeah.
The games themselves are going to end with more losses than wins, but it's cool to see the future of this organization start to come to fruition. And I think now we're really seeing it with Reichel seeming to be up full time, and who knows, I could send him down tomorrow. Guttman here here for sure. Yeah. But I don't know. I kind of enjoy this part of it. I really do.
Yeah.
Because we've seen, as long-time Hawks fans saw, Keith and Seabrook like, oh, okay. And Taves and Kane like, oh. And then Hossa. And then it's like, oh, my God, it's happening.
Yeah.
This is the fun part, and you could say you were there when Cole Guttman was your number 1 center.
I think going through this year, working on the rebuild report, just paying attention more this year than I think really ever to the prospect system, and really for the first time in a very long time, getting legitimately excited for Blackhawks prospects coming through the system, and not just like, oh, this one guy is doing kind of okay.
Yeah.
If you squint,
if you look real hard, he could be on their third line someday. Like, no, now you're looking at guys who, you don't have to squint. Like, you can look at them and say, that guy is going to be real good if he keeps doing what he's doing right now. And I think eventually, over the next year or 2 years, a lot of these young guys that are in the system now or coming into the system, we're gonna watch them grow as players and as people, and it's gonna be a lot of fun to start to kind of get attached to this new generation, this new era of Blackhawks coming through. And in a handful of years, like Taves and Kane jerseys were in the 2010s, you might see bountiful Korchinskis and Nazars and hopefully Bedards, and like it's gonna feel
Bedard's gonna.
If it's Bedard, all you're going to see are Bedards. But immediately. But it's gonna be fun. Seeing this new wave come through. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some patience, of course. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Like you said, I think the painful part is coming to an end. And the fun can begin.
Yeah, we stressed out all season about the trade deadline and Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves. Will they, won't they? That's over. And you know what? I think, and we've said all season, oh, this team's going to be awful after the deadline, but they're playing hard. And I think Now that whole distraction is out of that locker room, the guys who had been here since day one are playing a little more loose. A, they know they're not getting traded, and B, they don't have to be asked about, hey, how did Patrick Kane practice? That's over. So now they can focus on just doing their jobs. And yeah, I think the hardest part of this rebuild is now in our rearview mirror.
Yeah.
Now we can start focusing. We've already focused on a couple guys. Reichel, Guttman, those are guys. Reichel we were hoping for all season. Guttman has pretty much come out of nowhere, and now he's a guy that is a legit piece maybe going forward. And next year there'll be more of those guys, and we'll get an influx of guys in the Rockford at the end of this season that may or may not get a couple of pro games.
Yeah,
just some excitement. More guys in Rockford next year. I would imagine guys like Nolan Allen and Ethan Del Mastro will probably be in Rockford for some of the season. Maybe, Del Mastro could challenge for a roster spot, but I think Kyle Davidson is going to be.
I'd be shocked if it's a ton of young guys next year.
Not at the start of the season.
Yeah, maybe at the end. Maybe at this time next year,
right.
We're talking about those guys making up a bigger chunk of the
Davidson
roster.
has definitely let us know that he would rather overdevelop somebody than underdevelop somebody.
Yeah.
So but if you get Nolan Allen and Del Mastro in Rockford next year, that's something to be excited about with the Ice Hogs. Make my half of the rebuild report a little more prospect-y would be nice. So yeah, this is the exciting part. You're starting to see the seeds get planted. And now we got to let them water a little bit, and then we'll eventually see a little seedlings start poking through that dirt. And last year's draft class has looked really good so far.
Yeah.
Now we get the draft class that we've been talking about literally since the day we launched.
Yeah.
A little over a year ago. It's on its way. We don't know who it is yet, but we're getting closer to it. We put all the Patrick Kane stuff is behind us, and now we can focus on the future of this franchise. And Kyle Davidson has only had this job for a year, but this is the brightest the future of this organization has looked in a long time.
Yeah, no doubt. So I'm trying to think as we're talking here, like guys who could play full time next year, like Rockford guys, maybe Isaac Phillips.
Yeah.
Maybe Alex Vlasic, who finished the season with 15 games with the Hawks, looked pretty good, and then has not played a game for the Hawks all year. I think a lot of us had him penciled in for a spot this year.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been the case, so maybe he's the guy that comes up and plays while Del Mastro and Allen join Rockford. You're probably going to get them 2 up, add 2 at least, and then go from there. So those are some of the guys to watch. And a bunch of people in the chat talking about Colton Dock, which is an interesting name because much like his brother, he is always hurt. Yep. He is hurt all the damn time, and it's not a knock. It's a fact.
Came back from a shoulder injury that he sustained at the World Juniors. Was traded to Seattle, played a few games with Seattle, and now he's hurt again. So it's tough. It's a tough look for him. Is he injury prone? I mean,
I guess by definition, right?
He keeps getting hurt. So I don't know if that's something to really be worried about, but it's not looking great. So hopefully it's something that maybe he's just having a bad stretch of injury bugs biting him, but hopefully that's not the case as he progresses, because he's in a tremendous position right now with Seattle to play a lot of meaningful games in the WHL right now. So it would be great for him to be on the ice.
Question from, I think it was Mongo. No, it's Shep. Says, do you expect to see any NCAA prospects joining the Blackhawks?
Yes.
When the season is over? Yeah, I think Kaiser's a guy we've talked about. Landon Slaggert's a guy we've talked about.
Kaiser seems like whenever Minnesota Duluth season is over, he will sign. Slaggert's, I feel like 50-50. Like there's a slim chance Notre Dame gets an NCAA tournament bid, but I think it's very slim. Apologies, Jay. It's
not just
the reality. Yeah. So his season might be over, but his younger brother is going to be a freshman at Notre Dame next season. His dad is the coach. It kind of seems like if he wanted to have one more year there,
makes sense.
Probably be the captain. He got to play with his older brother, play with his younger brother. Like it seems like that would be enticing. NHL game checks are enticing too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see how you weigh it, but
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's played with his brother before.
probably
Never played in the NHL.
So we'll see what happens there. But out of those two, like Kaiser definitely feels like he'll be making the jump. I'm trying to think. Yeah, Kamezzo is interesting because it's like he could play another year in college, and I don't think it would hurt anything. Like there's not really a push for him to necessarily need to be in Rockford next year.
No, if you got, you got Stauber.
Stauber, Mrazek, and Soderblom are all signed for next season.
Right.
So I don't know. It's interesting. That one I feel like his decision might be more let's go to the pro ranks.
We'll see. It'll be exciting to see him regardless, one way or another. Before we get to our tank standings, a quote here from Luke Richardson. This is courtesy of Ben Pope. He says, "We persevered on the 6-on-5 and never gave up. That's been our MO all year. It's really good to see the guys not get discouraged by letting a team come back. We stayed composed and calm and did the job to get it to overtime. Unfortunately, they got the bounce." I mean, that's what we've been talking about the entire show.
Yeah.
Is despite their lack of talent, this Hawks team just does not give up. And with that, we've got to name our DraftKings King of the Game. DraftKings King of the Game goes to Petr Mrazek. Yes, he gave up 4 goals, but boy, it could have been a hell of a lot worse. 39 saves, a .907 save percentage. He is our DraftKings King of the Game, and DraftKings Sportsbook is the official betting partner of CHGO and All City. They've got those great NBA no-sweat same-game parlays. Major League Baseball is starting soon. Get those preseason wagers in. I put my money down on the Cubs and Sox over the other day. A bunch of other fun stuff to play in there as well. So jump in there and look at those baseball futures. And, the same-game parlays like we play all the time. Anytime goal scorer. Who's going to score first? Who's going to score last? You've obviously got your money lines and your spreads and all those things. There are a million ways to play on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Download the app now and sign up with the code CHGO. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA with code CHGO. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. And now, Greg has your DraftKings pick of the week.
Yes, I do. Can't do any of the really fun, detailed same-game parlays for tomorrow's NHL action because they don't usually put the players' bets in there until morning skates happen, make sure guys are actually playing. But we're going to do an over-under parlay for 2 of the games tomorrow. I'm taking over 7 goals for tomorrow's primetime matchup of the Edmonton Oilers and Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh, that feels like free money.
Yeah, and I am parlaying it with under 6.5 for Rangers at Sabres. Now, you may be saying, Greg, the Sabres just gave up 10 goals yesterday.
Yeah.
Right, which means they're not going to do that again. I think they're going to have a bounce-back game. They're going to keep it low. Patrick Kane's not going to score. He's going to turn over the puck to Tage Thompson. It's going to be a 2-1 Sabres win. So I am parlaying over 7 Edmonton and Maple Leafs, under 6.5 Rangers Sabres. That is for plus 330 odds.
All right.
So bet $10, win 33. That is our DraftKings pick of the week.
I love it.
It's a good pick.
I like that pick a lot.
Yeah, we always pump our tires of our picks, and we haven't got one in a while.
That's all right. I mean, that's why, that's what makes it challenging.
I did a 4-leg parlay last night for point scorers in the NHL since there were so many games. And I had Svechnikov over half a point. He scored. Tage Thompson over half a point. He had 2 assists. Mikko Rantanen over half a point. He had an assist. The one guy that screwed me, Connor McDavid.
Wow.
I had McDavid over 1.5. And I was like, that's the one sure guy.
That feels like a sure thing every night.
And he had no points last night.
You know what, though? If you bet that 82 times, you're coming out ahead.
Yeah,
Usually.
I pretty much add him in every one. When I do the parlays for either goal scorers or points, I always put McDavid. And Mikko Rantanen has been almost a sure thing this year, too.
Underrated season he's having.
Jeffrey says, $10 super chat. Honest opinion, who do you think makes the playoffs first, excluding the White Sox because no one cares about them? Those are his words.
Somebody cares
not
about
mine.
them.
The Hawks, the Bears, the
White
Cubs, or the
Sox
Bulls.
as actual Sox.
I would think
Bears.
actually the Sox are probably the most likely.
Bears. Just got DJ Moore.
Yeah, the Bears maybe.
Someone's got to win that division this year. If Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets, who's winning the Central?
Well, and Adam Thielen got released today too by the Vikings.
I'd still
Oh.
pick the Vikings.
Paper champions
Kirk Cousins sucks.
for all times.
It all depends on how many primetime games the Vikings get. The primetime game, if
Yeah,
they get
put 'em-
6 primetime games,
There's
there's
6
toast.
losses.
Yeah.
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 I'm going to say Bears.
Bears.
They'll
do it first. They're definitely got the best. They're in an upward trajectory, my
Yeah.
friends.
They're going in the right direction.
I saw the slander about the Cubs going on in the chat, and I thought it was because I made the comparison
No.
to the Cubs World Series. Well, I would make a White Sox one, but
I mean, they have a World Series.
it hasn't worked out with their prospects the way it did with the Cubs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just keep hearing about
give
Yohan
him time.
Moncada and Luis Robert
Give him
and
time.
Eloy and all these
If
great.
Alex Nylander hasn't panned out yet.
him
Juan
time.
Yeah, the
Moncada
jury's still
might
out
pan-
on
yeah,
Alex Nylander.
Jury's still out on Eloy Jimenez.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, has it come time for the Tankathon?
I think we
Let's
need to
do it.
bully.
We only got
need
78
more
likes.
I
likes,
think
so
we
we
need to
gotta bump
bully
up those
people into
numbers.
liking the video.
What's that?
We need to bully people into liking the video.
Yeah, let's go. I mean, come on.
We put all our bullying purposes into the super chat. That
Yeah,
worked out well.
that's cool too. How much super chat money do we get
We
tonight?
got one night at an Airbnb in Nashville.
Well,
All right, we're 1/3 of the way there.
do we know how many? How much?
I don't. I could count it up for you.
Well, let's
Come on,
we got,
Steven,
we
you're
got
not
30.
tracking
I know
this
we
in
got
real
So just
20.
counting over here.
It's got to be at least 75
There's
bucks.
10.
You can't produce and count at the same time, guys.
Let's see. I know we
I
got
can't even
10.
count.
I know we got 30.
We got a
There we go.
We got a
There's
40,
5, so
a
we're
30,
15.
a 5, a 2.
17. This is great stuff. 37 in a row.
For all the for all
Oh,
those
we got over 100 then.
37, 20. That's 57.
87.
87. All right, fine.
87.
Bonus
There was a
spin.
4.
We got a lot of money.
All right, we got
right.
90 bucks at
Yeah.
least.
All right, that's fine. You've earned a bonus spin.
Watch yourselves. A bonus.
Steven, who is our what is our tank site of the day?
Tankathon.
We're going with Tankathon again because it worked
Tankathon
for
because
us.
they rewarded
All right,
us.
we
All right,
gotta-
we gotta
look at
update the standings
we gotta look at
first,
the
and then
standings
we'll,
first. Get our drum roll here.
All right, Columbus still horse crap.
Seagulls.
47 points in 64 games. San Jose second with 50 points in 66 games. The Hawks third with 50 points in 65 games. Then you got Anaheim and Arizona. But
Ducks are winning.
Ducks are winning 2-1
after 2.
after 2, despite
Nice.
being outshot 22-10.
Speaking of teams that have just completely underachieved this year, I guess the Flames and Panthers doomed themselves by making that trade.
They should have
Both of those
just
teams
undone
have
it.
sucked since they've
Yeah.
made that trade.
Yeah, that's tough.
Go back and undo it.
Yep. All right. It is time to spin. We've got 2 spins tonight. And remember, if we land on the Hawks at the number 1 spin, then we get to bank the second one. So let's hope we just get out of here quickly.
Yes.
And the Hawks win right away. So courtesy of Tankathon, here is spin number 1.
Go.
Oh, hell
that's
no.
the worst one
That's
ever. No.
horrible.
Blues, Jackets, Sharks, and Hawks,
burn it,
no.
Burn it with fire.
We won't be doing that.
Everybody loses.
That's
Nope.
brutal. But it just goes to show you, St. Louis has got the number 1 pick with a 5% chance. It can happen.
And now,
Oh,
God.
no. Detroit, Montreal, Columbus, San Jose, Chicago.
I hope Tankathon loses all their
That
spots.
Oh, that's the
is
Iser plan. Just
horrible.
pretend to try to win and then get Connor Bedard. Wouldn't that be freaking just
that would be
dandy?
totally a Steve Eiserman play there.
Oh, good Lord.
God.
Well, that sucks. That leaves a bad taste in
I
my
think I
mouth.
have Sprite over
Now, you
there.
know what?
To
No.
pro-
To
we're
We're not
prospect
ending
watch
the
when we
show
go
down that
with the
way.
Blues or Red Wings winning. That's it.
Just because we got one more super chat.
Yes.
There we
All right,
Give
fine.
us a super chat
Tree
first.
tree because
Thank
of
you.
Pat Foley.
Fine.
All right.
Yes.
That's
You
fine.
just bought yourself another
All right,
spin.
yeah. This is a new rule we're setting. If the Blues or Red Wings win the final spin, we spin again, regardless
You all-
of likes.
if each spin is worth $50 in super chat.
There you go.
We can do it all night if you guys keep paying.
Sure.
Yeah, keep paying.
Right?
We'll stay.
We might get to
I know where
Nashville.
to be. Yep.
We're ready.
Let's go.
Last spin here.
Nobody shitty.
San Jose, Columbus, Chicago.
man.
All right, that's less painful.
It is less painful.
They flip-flopped 1 and 2.
All right,
Yeah, we still get Leo Carlson. I'll take it.
that's
That's
fine.
all right.
All right, we are back tomorrow night after Hawks and Lightning.
Cole Guttman revenge game, baby.
Watch the Hawks win that one
Taylor Radish.
5-3 or
Boris
something
Katchouk.
crazy.
I think it's going to be Tyler Johnson's first
Tyler
game
Johnson.
against Tampa.
Wow,
yeah,
that's
because
crazy.
he missed he
He's
missed it
been
because of
hurt.
injury.
Yeah.
And then he got the flu or whatever when they were in town. A
Oh, he had
couple weeks
the
ago.
plain sushi.
Airplane
Yeah.
sushi. You
So
called it, man.
Yep. Hey,
Now
I hate being
Staylock's
right
butt's falling off.
sometimes.
It's brutal. All right. Steven, thanks for running things, man. We always appreciate you. And we'll see everybody tomorrow night. Join us again. Load up those check. Today's payday. It's payday. I can tell. So thank you. Load up those super chats tomorrow and those likes. And hey, we don't say this often, but just a reminder, if you're watching us, chances are you've got a friend that's a Hawks fan that maybe has not heard about CHGO yet, or probably a Chicago sports fan in your life because every team's covered. Let them know. Tell them to subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube page. Tell them to check out all the podcasts we got here because when we do well, the Sox do well, and the Cubs do well, and the Bears do well, and everybody lifts everybody else. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're hitting those like buttons. Even if you're just on YouTube and you see there's a CHGO show in your feed, just hit that like button for us. It goes a really, really long way. And one final reminder, the DraftKings Sportsbook is the official sports betting partner of CHGO and All City. Download the app now and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. For Mario and Greg, I'm Jay. We'll talk to you tomorrow night after Hawks and Bolts on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.